So that is it, as I said. So we've considered the reasons why we till the soil. Now let's consider preparation of seed beds. How we prepare seed beds. Preparation of seed beds. Now we first have to consider factors to consider in the preparation of nursery beds. So we first have to consider the factors in preparation of nursery beds. And these are examinable questions. You are supposed to know the factors. Crop production normally drops. Biology or agric, it drops. So you are supposed to know all these things. And these things you don't memorize, you just have to understand. This is very simple. You don't have to memorize it. Don't do baba. Just understand it. And you should be able to write. Anytime when you're even asleep and they ask you to write this, you should be able to write. Now, the first thing you have to consider is the beds should be free from diseases, pathogens, pests, and weeds. So you first have to consider that your bed should be free from diseases, pests, and weeds. You first have to consider that. Now you also have to consider that they should be free from draining and rich in nutrients. So they should be free from draining. That means immediately you pour water and it gets drained. It should be free from that. And it should be rich in nutrients to ensure successful seed germination. And so the seed bed should be rich in nutrients. Now, it should be sited in an open place with free flow of air and adequate sunlight. So it should be situated where, yes.
Please, you're moving too fast.
Sorry. So it should be situated. So it should be situated at places where, in an open place, where there's free flow of air and adequate sunlight. Free flow of air and adequate sunlight. Now, it should also be close to a reliable source of clean water. It should also be close to a reliable source of clean water so that it will make it very simple or simpler for you to water it. And to enhance regular watering of the seedlings. And so these are some of the factors you have to consider. The first one, I said that the bed should be free from diseases, pathogens, pests, and weeds. It should also be free from draining, and it should be rich in nutrients to ensure successful seed germination. And I said it should be sited in an open places with free flow of air and adequate sunlight. So we looked at that, and I said it should be close to a reliable source of clean water. It should be close to a reliable source of clean water. It should be close to a reliable source of clean water. That is it. It should be close to a reliable source of clean water. So that is it. Now let's look at the various types of seed beds we have. We have two main types of seed beds. We have two main types of seed beds. Two main types of seeds bed. The bed we grow seeds on it. Seed beds. We have two main types of seed beds. The first one is called sunken bed. Sunken bed. Sunken bed. Sunken bed. The first one is called sunken bed. And the second one is called raised bed. The second one is called raised bed. Raised. A bed which has been raised. So the first one is sunken, the second one is raised. First one is sunken, second one is raised. So that is it. So we have sunken and we have raised beds. And so now when we say a sunken bed, then you are saying that it is made lower than the surrounding soil. So the bed is made such that it is lower than the surrounding soil. So let's see if I can draw what's the distance. I'm a good. I was a good listener. So we have something like this. So this is your soil. then you have this. So, oh, I don't know. So we have this. This is a sunken bed. This is a sunken bed. So you realize that. So this is the surrounding. This is the level of the surrounding soil. This is the level of the surrounding soil. But this bed, this is where the planting is done. So you can have a plant like this. You can have a plant like this here. Oh wow. You can have one like this here. I hope you are getting it. Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. So with this type of bed, you know, it's a sunken. Oh, it's a sinking. Sorry. So it's this part is not leveled like the surrounding, what do you call it, soil. That is why it is called sunken bed. So it is lower than the surrounding soil, and it is very important during the dry season so that it can be able to retain water. So it is very important during the dry season in the low rainfall areas or where there is need to conserve moisture. So this is done normally in the low rainfall areas, like in the northern regions that there's less rainfall. These types of beds are normally considered, which is to conserve moisture because it is capable of holding water. So when you have something like this, you know it is capable of holding water for a longer time. You just look at our normal this thing, potholes. You realize that the potholes are when it rains, the potholes are able to accumulate a lot of water. It takes a longer time before it gets evaporated or it gets dry. Are we getting it? So it's that same thought that went into something like the sunken bed. So, for instance, at the northern region, where it takes a longer time before it rains, you can go for this sunken bed so that anytime it rains or when you water it, it can be able to, when even water it a day, it can be able to retain or conserve the moisture till the following day. That is it. And it has small raised sides that prevent excess water from running off. So that is why I have this small. So this ones prevent water from running off. So it prevents water from leaving the distance. So there's always this thing. So this is a typical drawing diagram of a sunken bed. Now the second one is what we call uh, the raised beds. The raised beds. And this one, the bed is made higher than the surrounding soil. So the raised bed is the opposite of the sunken bed. It's the opposite of the sunken bed. It's the opposite of the sunken bed. Opposite of the sunken bed. So that one is raised. Let me see if I can be able to draw it. Uh, uh,
Mom,
Daniela, 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 Daniela.
Yes, sir.
There's always noise at your background, eh? Please take note. Make sure you always mute your listening when you are talking. When you are talking to mommy. Why, please? So there's it. So when we have the, let me use this and now make it simple. So right. So this one is raised This one is raised. Raised above the normal grams. And this is what normally we've been seeing. The ones we use for the seedlings and the rest. That's what we've been seeing every day. And it is raised above the distance. We normally use it in a crop. If you want to grow cabbage, we normally use the raised beds. And it is capable of draining water. This one is normally capable of draining water, and it is therefore prevents waterlogging. So this one is normally used at the waterlogged areas. So you listen so that it prevents waterlogging. You can be using this one at the eastern region where it's practically rains every day. So we can be using that. And it is important in high rainfall areas, poor drainage of water, log areas, or during rainy season. So that is it. So this, you can just humbly bear with me that this one is the opposite of this. So whilst this is used in dry areas, this one is used in rainfall areas. So you should just know before you apply any of this, you should be able to know the areas you are dealing with, or the areas you are talking about. And the benefits of the raised beds, you realize that this one helps check erosion. You know, it is raised, it helps check erosion. And one other one is it promotes soil aeration. Soil air is able to pass through, simple. So it promotes soil aeration, and it prevents seed from being washed. So this one prevents seed from being washed, and it encourages development of roots of crops. So this one encourages development of roots of crops. So these are one or two benefits of raised beds. Now, let us consider reasons for nursing beds in vegetable crop production. The reason why it is important to nurse seeds in vegetable crop production. So, for instance, if you want to plant or cultivate cabbage, you realize that you would have to nurse it before you transfer it. If you want to do tomatoes farming, you have to nurse them before. If you want to do cashew, you have to nurse the seedlings before. If you want to do a lot of things, a lot of crops, you have to nurse them before. And I want to consider the reason why we do all these things. And the first one is it enhances quick or easy germination of the seeds. When you do that, it normally enhances quick or easy germination of the seeds. You realize that when you nurse them, the seeds germinate very fast. And so that is one importance or one reason why it is done that way. It also ensures easy maintenance of the seedlings. You are able to manage the seedlings well. So it ensures easy maintenance of the seedlings. Then it also ensures hardening of seedling before transplanting. You should be able to harden the seedlings, make them strong before you transplant them, because when you transplant them, they are going to a bigger field. So you have to make sure say they are strong, they can be able to withstand the next level. And so it is very expedient we nest them. Now you realize there's a reduction of wastage of seeds. You're able to reduce the waste in seeds. And the only healthy seedlings are selected for transplanting. So after doing the nursing or the nursery, you're able to know that okay, these are the crops or these are the seedlings which are fit to be on a bigger platform. So it helps eradicate what they call the weaker ones, and we're able to transfer the healthy ones, and in turn promote what we call higher yields and so on and so forth, higher growth. It aids planting of crops with small seeds which cannot be planted directly into the soil. So normally crops with smaller seeds, it helps that. Crops with smaller seeds, it helps that. So like what do you call it? Tomato seedlings. They are very small, so you can't just pick only one tomato seedling and say you are going to plant it. That is not done. So because they are small, it is very good there. You plant them, you use the nursery system, then you can transplant. But you realize that maize like this, their seedlings are big. And so normally maize, we don't nest them. We just plant them because the seedlings are big, dada. And so that is it. That is the main reason why we do all those things. Now let's consider some cultural activities or cultural practices that we do to maintain the farm. The first one we are going to consider is prickling out. Prickling out. prickling out, and this involves the removal of seedlings from the nursery bed to the prick out box when they are at the leaf stage. And so prickling out is normally we remove seedlings from the nursery bed and we take them to different boxes, prick out box. And when they are at the leaf stage, normally when they get to the leaf stage, we prick or we take some from the beds or the nursery beds, then we put them into prick. Normally when you see the cashew, for instance, they can decide to, or maybe tomatoes, uh, they can decide to first of all do the nursery, and from there when they develop the leaves, then now they can take them one by one and put them into small boxes. Normally you can use pure rubber and so on and so forth to be doing all those things, then go it for a longer period. Then if you want to transfer, you do it. Now there are various ways of farming. So even now there's something called greenhouse farming, and it's so nice that the place normally is for crop vegetables or vegetables. So when we have vertical crops and so on and so forth. So when you enter the distance, it's like a very nice garden. I don't know if some of you have seen the greenhouse, what do you call it, farming before. It's so nice. It has been covered when you enter. Some you can even plant, when you say vertical, you can even plant them straight in boxes and a lot of things. And it's so arranged neatly. And we have that automated system where you have the water pumps. You can control it with your phone. They are all automated, so you can, when you're even at home, you can be able to monitor the way the plants are doing and so on and so forth. You have this. This is physics. The physics with biology. You can be able to. We have something called water sensors or soil sensors. You place all these things in your setup, and it is able to tell you that the sensors was able to tell you that you program in such a way that when there's little water, you set a threshold. When you say threshold, for instance, you tell the program that when the water is below, the water in the soil is below maybe 10% or below 2%, this thing should tell you, should notify you by message or anything. So you're working, you are notified that, oh, there's little water in the soil, so you have to on the pump. So when it happens that, you just have to automate the pump, then the pump does. Or you may also not decide to even wait for the alert. You can just do it automatically, that immediately the water goes off, the pump, this thing starts pumping. When it gets to a certain threshold, it stops. Then you can be monitoring all those things, monitor the growth of the distance, even all on your device. And this is so nice. If you have money, you can do it well. And I know there are a lot of people in Ghana doing it. Now, the reason why we do the pricking out is, number one, we want to minimize competition of nutrients. So when they are all on the same bed, they compete for nutrients. So we take them and put them in a separate bed where there's little or no competition. Now, it's also to ensure rapid growth of seedlings. We want to consider ensure the rapid growth of seedlings. Sorry. And we also want to minimize the spread of disease. You know, normally social distancing. So we distance them, we put them into their box so that we limit the spread of coronavirus, which is spread of diseases. Now, to obtain healthy seedlings for planting, so that we can also be able to obtain the healthy seedlings for planting. And we also want to remove the late germinators, the ones that germinate very late. When we do all these things, it helps us to be able to assess them and do away with all those late germinators. That is the reasons why we do the pricking out. So if this is a bed, after planting, after after doing the distance, so tomatoes, you realize that they are crowded, and from there you pick them one after the other. Then you go and put them into that your small box. Sometimes they are even pure rubbers. I know you've all seen some before. Then you plant them one. So you plant one here, and all those things. And it helps you to be able to assess them. Know the ones which are strong, that germinates fast, and that informs you the next step to do. Now, one other practice is what we call the hardening off. Hardening. HARDENING. Hardening off. OFF. Now, it is a preparatory process by which seedlings in the nursery beds are exposed to high light intensity or temperature before they are transplanted. So these are when the seedlings are exposed to sunlight to harden it or to make it strong. And the ones which are able to withstand all these things, then if you're able to withstand the condition, then that means you can be able to withstand what we call the bigger challenges, or the bigger or the higher light energy. Let me put it that way. So normally they are done, and normally they are done. The hardening off is done when the seedlings are normally between the ages of 2 to 3 weeks. So when they are normally between the ages of 2 to 3 weeks, we do the hardening. Then when they pass the test, we transplant them to the main field. And the reason why we do this hardening off is it helps the seedlings to accumulate carbohydrates in their tissues for use quickly to in producing roots after transplanting. So it helps this thing to accumulate some what we call carbohydrates in their tissues, and that helps them to produce stronger roots for transplanting. Now, another one is it also helps the seedlings to withstand dry, wind, and intense sunlight. And so it's a test we do, and when you're able to pass, it means that when you put you on the bigger platform, you can be able to resist the high sunlight that will be coming to you. And so that's the test we do for them. And so these are one or two reasons why we do the hardening off. These are one or two reasons why we do the hardening off. Now let's also consider thinning out. Thinning out. THINNING. Thinning out. Thinning out. Now when we say thinning out, then we are saying that there's the removal of unwanted seedlings from the nursery beds. And so you realize that seedlings no ma born on nursery beds, no, we take them out. The seedling which isn't performing on the seedling on the nursery beds, or the unwanted ones, we take them out. And so the process of taking the unwanted seedlings from the nursery bed is what we call the thinning out. The thinning out. And the reason is number one, to prevent overcrowding and competition. Wow, also I'll never compete. So it be you furious. So you prevent, and the more we take them out, we also prevent overcrowding of them. And it also ensures healthy growth of the remaining seedlings when planted. And so so we do that. Now, then we consider the main thing which we call the transplanting. And when we say transplanting, it simply means that the transfer of seedlings from the nursery bed to the seed bed. So we transfer the nursery bed after the seedling from the nursery bed to the seed bed. That's basically what we call transplanting. Then we are going to consider mulching. So after transplanting, that is where we consider the mulching. So all the ones the cultural prices I mentioned before the transplanting are done before transplanting. Now the ones we do after transplanting, by then we assume the seedlings are of age or are strong and they can stand on their own before we transplant them. So when we do that, then we consider mulching. And mulching is the act of covering the surface of the earth with suitable materials like grass, straws, crop residues, and so on and so forth. And I know you've seen, some of us have had the privilege of seeing mulching, how it is done. And so the surface of the earth or the soil is covered with grasses, weeds, and so on and so forth, straws, and the rest. When you go to the cocoa farms, you see most of the cocoa leaves, and normally it conserves the moisture of the land. So that is it. Now, some of the reasons or the advantages of mulching is, number one, it keeps the soil cool. It makes the soil so cool and calm. You get it? And it also regulates the soil temperature. So it regulates the soil temperature. And number two, it keeps the soil moist or prevents loss of water by evaporation. So because they are covered, it prevents loss of water by evaporation. That is one also advantage it has. And it helps to control the soil pH, the pH of the soil. It helps to control the pH of the soil. Now, it prevents soil erosion. Don't forget, soil has pH, please. And so it also prevents soil erosion, prevents erosion of soil. And I know washing away of the topsoil. And so when we cover it, then we are able to prevent the washing away of it. Now, it also increases activities of small soil micro and macroorganisms. So it also increases the activities of soil micro and macroorganisms. That also make the land fertile. It increases the activities, and it increases the soil organic matter. So increase the humus of the soil organic matter. That is it. Now let's consider filling in. Filling in. Let's do this and do sticking. Then we are done. My back is aching. Let's do filling in. Now when we say filling in, you realize that after taking away the weak ones, there are spots are left there. When you take away the weak ones, spots are left there. So we have to refill. The process of doing that is what's called a filling in. So we are saying that it's the act of replanting seeds that spot where seeds fail to germinate. And so where the seeds fail to germinate, those spots, they are left. So we replant them, or we refill the spaces, the vacant spaces. And so that is what we call the filling in. And normally it should be done before 2 weeks after planting. It should be done after 2 weeks, before 2 weeks after planting. And so that is it. And so then from there we look at something called staking, to stake something. Now, in our various homes, those of us who are privileged to have the backyard gardens and so on and so forth, like the plantains and the rest, you realize that there are some instances, plantain, when the plantain normally gets ripe, or when they are ready for harvest, because of the weight of the plantain, it normally pulls the plantain. Now, when it pulls the plantain, when it pulls the plantain, you realize that the plantain may sometimes either fall, or sometimes not as a necessity. So then what we do is we apply what we call staking. So the staking is application of a support method or a support mechanism for the plant. So we provide a support mechanism for the plant. And so like in the form of a stick or a pole. So it involves the use of poles or stick to support plants with weak stems. So plants which have weak stems, we provide a support base for it. So everyone on Jimmy Nantino put up Poma a stick. It is sticking. You get it? It is sticking. So and that is it. So the poles used for the providing support are called sticks. Into poles ne useful for to provide a support. And your friend is sticks. So vegetable crops which require sticking include tomatoes. Sometimes tomatoes require sticking. So normally for the greenhouse they have these sticks in them. French beans, the beans also this thing, because they have weak crop stems. They also stick. Yam and the rest, they are all sticked. They are all stick. Most are bantra, and it's so nice. It's so nice. Some of us we don't travel, we don't go to our home, so our villages, so we don't know all these things. They are all disease. Now then let's look at the final topic, the advantages or the reasons for staking. Now, it ensures that fruits do not rest on the ground and are always clean at harvest. So we want to consider that the fruits do not rest on the ground and should always be clean at harvest. That is why we do the staking. It also ensures that the fruits are not affected by soil-borne diseases. And so when the crops crawl on the ground, you know that they may be affected by soil-borne diseases or diseases from the soil. And so as a result, it is very expedient that we stick them. Now, it also helps position the leaves of the plants to receive maximum light for photosynthesis. So it positions the leaves of the plants to receive maximum light for photosynthesis. It positions the leaves. So it positions the leaves in such a way that it is able to receive maximum light for photosynthesis. Now, it also helps to carry out cultural practices like weeding. So when they are crawling, for instance, if you go to a yam farm or yam plantation and you don't have these sticks, you may not even find it easy when you want to clear, when you want to weed the weeds. So it is very expedient that you stake them. When you go to a watermelon farm, you know that watermelon, they normally crawl the leaves. And so what you do is you have to stake them so that you can be able to weed around it and so on and so forth. And so it provides, or it helps us to carry out cultural practices like weeding easily. And that's it. And that will bring us to the end of our class today. We have the next time we are going to talk about weed control, methods of weed control. We are going to consider crop rotation, pruning, and the rest. We are going to delve much deeper. So to cut everything, we have our 7 minutes to go. So to wrap up this thing, we are learn all these things so that one day in future we can be able to put something on our table. We can be able to impact the world. And so it is very expedient that anything we learn, you have to picture it in what do you call it in a business way. Life is full of business. You see, life is full of business. If you learn all these things and you are not able to come up with anything better, then that means you just learned it for learning sake. You just have the knowledge, but I don't have wisdom. So the wisdom is the application of knowledge. To learn all these things. One day when you grow and you feel like you have interest in agric, you should be able to go into it. Now it's very lucrative. Don't let anyone discourage you that agric is for village people and the rest. You can change it. And one thing is, you are not going to be the one going to farm. You have farmers, you can employ farmers to do that for you. Then you just be supervising. You can be working, you can even be a teacher, you can be a doctor and still be going to farming. I know one Kenyan doctor, when you can search her on YouTube, who stopped. She's a cardiovascular doctor. She stopped being cardiovascular or cardiologist and went into tomatoes farming. And she's making a lot of money. And so we just learn all these things. We are not trying to say don't be your doctors, but you can still be being your doctors and still be investing into these areas, which promises to be nice. You can go into processing of this food crops and so on and so forth, and you make a lot of business out of it. And so that is a little I'll tell you. Learn and learn. The physics you learn, don't just learn it, do baba. You can create something out of it. You can create science set out of it. You can create a lot of things. You can teach. You can just as I'm doing, you can do all these things. You just have to be creative and know that when you are hungry, no one will come and give you food. That's the same way when you are looking for money, you shouldn't let someone come and tell you that, or you shouldn't be shy of what gives you money, because when you're hungry, no one come and say, Charlie, what will you eat? You have to look for it. So when any good way you look for your money, listen. Don't forget that one of the richest men in Ghana is made his money from Bola, which is the CEO of Zoom Lion. Bola and what it is, he can't see more Ghana. But I know when he started, people say, "I'm a baller there." Then why will you going to waste management? But he has a lot of money. Now every government this thing contractee is taking it. This disinfection of the schools and the rest. He's taking all the businesses. So please take note of it. That's the letter I'll give you. God bless you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Hannah, I've missed you, Papa. Daniel, I've missed you. Efua, Harriet, I've missed all of you. God bless you so much.
God bless you too.
Please, my monies. If you haven't tell your dad, please tell your dad it's weekends. Let me get some small coins. Have a wonderful day. I love you all.
Love you too.
I'm blushing. Bye.
Bye.
Now we have closed. Now someone is joining. Hey.